she was a woman who wanted to come over and maybe give me a hug, or maybe ask me why I'm doing what I'm doing. I didn't know that, you know, supposedly she was the woman who complained about me, because she certainly wasn't acting in a complaining way. I mean, if she has a problem with what I'm doing, come up and talk to me personally. Maybe there's something you're not understanding about what I'm doing. You know, maybe the idea that you refuse to even engage with me on any you know, topic of conversation or exchange or anything like that. Yeah, maybe that is one of the reasons why you feel it necessary to get the police involved and waste their time, when in fact you can just come up to me and, you know, and explain something to me. Maybe there's something that I'm not privy to. Maybe there's some information that I'm not understanding, and, you know, something that, you know, we can come to what's known as a gentleman's agreement about the whole situation. Maybe there's that. But no, she doesn't bother with that. She just goes to the police, because, yeah, let's just get the police to deal with him, when in fact the police never gain any jurisdiction over me, ever, because I know the law. I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. But yeah, he tried to say that, you know, he tried to threaten me that I'll be effectively dealt with, well, effectively deal with you, that he's going to report me to the relevant authorities and all this stuff, but nothing happened other than that. The only other thing that happened after that was another officer tried to come up to me and gain jurisdiction over me, but that was for completely different reasons. If anything was going to be coming of this first exchange, then surely the second officer would be making the same claims and be speaking from the standpoint of a continuation of the attempt from last time. But no, it was a completely separate issue. But there's that. I'm not going to rabbit on too much, because this video is going to be way too long anyway. Just setting it up for the second one, the second encounter. Basically, this was filmed by a friend of mine, and essentially looking back on the footage, I tried my absolute hardest trying to isolate certain frequencies on the recording itself, to try and gain the best transcription of what happened as possible. You can find by the way, you can find a transcription for both of these encounters in the video description. So, you know, for those of you who already know to look through video descriptions, you would, you know, at least be reading along with these encounters anyway. But the very fact that, you know, because I was going to upload this with an improved audio track so that it's easier to understand. However, I thought it would be better to illustrate how loud it was around there, right? And this will play a little bit into the encounter. Basically, the police officer came up to me. As you can see from the very beginning, I'm doing all this sort of stuff because I thought that I had my camera on me, and I was trying to think to myself, where the hell have I put my camera? When in fact, my friend Richard had the camera and he was filming the whole time. But yeah, that's the scene set for the next bit. So here we go. All I'm asking you is just to turn that down. Just give me a lady a bit of I'm not going to get into a debate with you. Please do that.
Well, I respect that, however, I can't necessarily believe it, because, but I mean, no disrespect.
Are you refusing to turn that down?
Well, let me explain, sir. I'm not refusing to do anything, let me just explain. While I respect you, you know, it's not disrespectful to you, you may be a perfectly, you know, respectful human being. I can't believe anecdotal information on your part, because, you know, no disrespect towards you, but you could just be making it. I'm just to try and
lady upstairs has got a migraine. Can I talk? Can I talk? She has asked to turn down because you're giving her a migraine. Are you refusing to do that?
I'm not refusing.
Are you going to turn it down?
I'm not refusing.
Are you going to turn it down?
Let me just explain. I'm not refusing. I'm just saying that as per Article 10 of the Human Rights Act 1998, which you, as an oath sworn police officer, are sworn to uphold, I have a right of freedom of expression. That is a very good point.
Okay, as you can see here, he's making a request for me to turn down my megaphone because apparently the woman upstairs, and I'm assuming that it's the woman that had previously complained, and she lives upstairs above the Peppermint Shoe Shop. I'm assuming that, but you know, he could be making this up, as I will explain in a bit. Basically, his basis was that he's making this request for me to turn it down because what I'm doing is giving her a migraine. Now, this is where it comes into a big grey area that I haven't encountered before, because it's very subjective. You know, I mean, so like one of the things about the fact, I mean, as you watch this footage, you can hardly hear us because it is so noisy around there. Buses are going past all the time, taxis are going past all the time, emergency response vehicles are going past all the time. At one point today they had their sirens blaring. So the idea that a man, you know, speaking out freely in a public area on a megaphone, when in fact that megaphone is not even directed towards the building that in question that she lives within, supposedly. I mean, you know, a megaphone is designed to direct sound towards one sort of point, but I never directed it at the building, right? If I directed it at the building, and then he said what you're doing is giving her a migraine, then yeah, I can see that, because that would be a blatant sort of, like, you know, thing, and I'd go, all right, sorry, I'll direct it in another direction. That's perfectly fine, but I never directed it at the building. I directed it down the high street, sort of at an angle, so it can ricochet off the buildings as it goes down. That's probably why I can be heard so far away, because I position my megaphone in a sort of angle where it can sort of like bounce off the buildings, but have enough angle to go far. You know, so I don't directly point it at any buildings. I point it at sort of the sides of the buildings at an angle. But yeah, basically, he's claiming that that is giving him enough authority to ask me to turn it down. Well, while I can understand that, well, not understand, while I can comprehend that that may be a breach of the, you know, Part 3, Subsection 1, Section 1, Subsection GA, noise that is prejudicial to health, that would also imply that she has the authority to complain to Arriva, to complain to, you know, the authorities that that regulate the decibel level of any emergency response vehicle sirens. And if she was going to get a migraine, she was going to get one anyway because of how noisy it was that day. She can't hold me accountable for her migraine. All right, her migraine is not my problem. And you know, and as I will say in a minute, you know, he could have just made it up. But there's that.
I'm not going to get into the debate. No, I respect that. However, I can't necessarily believe it because, but I mean, can I just? Are you refusing to turn that down? Well, let me explain. So I'm not refusing to do anything. Let me just explain. While I respect that, you know, it's not disrespectful to you. You may be a perfectly, you know, respectful human being. I can't believe anecdotal information on your part because, you know, no disrespect towards you, but you could just be making it up.
And in this example here, I'm basically trying to say as delicately as possible and strategically and tactfully and, you know, lawfully as possible that while basically, if he says it, I'm not going to take his word for it. I'm not going to take what he's saying on faith, because he could just as easily have just made this whole thing up just to try and get me to turn it down. You know, because, you know, if they try and, you know, give him an inch, they take a mile. You know, if I concede to this, then they may think, oh yeah, we've got him now. We're going to see if we can turn up the heat and get him to concede to even more until he's not doing it anymore. Well, sorry, but I'm here to stay. Okay? As long as I'm in Maidstone, then I will keep doing this. You can't stop me, as per Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, which I will get into in a bit. But yeah, that's basically that.
Just to try and lady upstairs has got a migraine. Can I talk? Can I talk? She has asked if you turn down because you're giving her a migraine. Are you refusing to do that? I'm not refusing. Are you going to turn it down? I'm not refusing. Are you going to turn it down? Let me just explain. I'm not refusing. I'm just saying that as per Article 10 of the Human Rights Act 1998, which you, as an oath sworn police officer, are sworn to uphold, I have a right of freedom of expression because.
Okay, so with this next bit here, he was repeatedly trying to get me to volunteer an action by saying, "Are you going to turn it down?" Basically, you know, because he started by asking, "Are you refusing to turn it down?" Had to keep repeatedly saying, "I'm not refusing," because when you refuse to do something, then obviously, you know, they will think that they have some kind of authority over you. But here's the kicker. In my defence, I claimed Article 10 of the Human Rights Act 1998, which states, and I quote, "Everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This shall include freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers." And because we're also in a public area, I have complete immunity from any false attempt at trying to gain jurisdiction. So there's that.
What I will be doing then, the guy on the left is not. Right, well, clearly, if there's a lady there, migraine, it's upsetting. So this is I'm not saying what I'm not going to do is get a even though, you know, the buses will get he's saying that is giving her a migraine. Please turn it down. I'm not going to get into any further discussion on that.
That is a very good point. Okay, again, obviously, as you can tell by watching this video, it's hardly audible at all because it's so damn loud around there. But obviously, I provide another little piece of information saying that my megaphone is no louder than a bus, which is very much Charlie Beach for that little insight. I tested that myself. But yeah, but he repeated his request for me to turn it down. Basically, "Oh no, I'm not going to get into a discussion," and then walked away. And as you can tell, the random guy who was like hanging around noticed that he said, "Oh, why don't you catch rapists and stuff?" Well, you know, it's just giving it a hug, and that's a really good sign. The fact that a member of the public is actually standing up for the freedom of expression of other people, you know. But he didn't have anything to say about that, and he just started to walk away. So there's that. What would I have to say about that? Well, the fact that that is the second police exchange that I've had in a single space of about 5 hours proves that maybe the authorities are getting a little desperate to get rid of me. Maybe they're trying all they can to try and I don't know. If they can't gain authority, then, you know, maybe they're going to try and, I don't know, lodge some sort of official complaint or a restriction against me. I don't know, like a ASBO or a criminal behaviour order. Well, in terms of ASBOs, then guess what, guys? Good luck. You have to apply through a magistrate with irrefutable evidence that proves beyond reasonable doubt that I am guilty of antisocial behaviour. But guess what? I've already got an ASBO. Fake ASBO though. I'll tell you what, I'll read it. Antisocial behaviour order has been issued against you for arguing politics. Issued by the Thought Police. Restrictions. You must not criticise the policies of our trusted leaders, even if you can run the country better. You must not say so in public houses, gambling joints, massage parlours, or other places where our noble leaders gather. The mental health of those who disagree with you, and whether those in power have fathers or not, is no longer permissible in debate, and a new ism to outlaw this is currently being drafted for a period of 6 months from today. That's the supposed ASBO that I have against me, even though, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is a fake ASBO, as bought from the Expressions novelty shop. But yeah, I've already got an ASBO on me, guys, so no point in trying to get one against me. The very fact that I've made so many of these videos and proved again and again and again and again that their attempts to try and, you know, get their own way with me and try and get me to stop and try and get me to shut up, now it's turn it down. The fact that they're doing all this proves that, you know, they're failing, but it seems maybe they're getting desperate, you know. But as I said, as long as I'm in Maidstone, I will keep doing this, you know. I'll keep, you know, spreading love and message of peace and compassion, and, you know, giving out free hugs to anyone who wants one. If that can be classed as antisocial behaviour, well, for one thing, I know that can't be classed as antisocial behaviour because it's pro-social, not antisocial, you know. How can giving out free hugs and giving out a message of peace, compassion and love be considered antisocial behaviour? It can't. They have no authority whatsoever. The reason why they're getting their panties in such a twist about this is because what I'm doing is I'm causing people to think. I'm at least laying a seed of critical thinking in people's minds, so they start questioning the system we live in and the legitimacy of any authority that is currently in place. So you see, the establishment don't like that. They don't like it when people start thinking for themselves, because when people start thinking for themselves, they start to step out of the herd. You know? That is what they're scared of. That is why they're trying to crack down on me. It's not for any, like, you know, fallacious reasons like, oh, you're giving her a migraine, or, oh yeah, you cause it, you know, noise nuisance. Sorry, but that does not address the actual points I'm actually making and the lawful things that I'm doing, because there's no law or statute that says I can't do what I'm doing right now. That's why people still all over the world do megaphone activism, and they can still carry on doing it because there's no law against it or statute. They try to gain jurisdiction, they try to gain joinder, but as long as we know our rights and know the law, then they fail every single time. So, but by all means, you know, guys, like I always say, don't believe a single word I'm saying. Go away and look this up for yourself and arrive at your own conclusion as to whether what I'm saying is true or not. But yeah, that's basically that. I wonder if next time I'm going to be gaining two different police officers coming up to me. It will certainly make for some good footage, but that's all I'm going to say for that. So thanks very much for listening, for watching, guys, and take care. Namaste.